Hello and welcome. Today I would like to discuss with you a very interesting comment that one of the viewers put in my latest video. By the way, I would like to thank everyone who puts even a short comment in my videos, because it helps the YouTube algorithm and it helps the channel grow. So thank you very much. This viewer posted a very interesting comment that may be of interest to many people. I would like to read you what he said and to discuss it with you. I don't know if this viewer is a gentleman or a lady. There is only the email address in the comment, so I apologize about that. I don't know. I will read you what he or she says. I would love to live in Spain. My family's heritage is Spanish, but the news of Spaniards attacking foreigners, screaming at them to leave or spraying them with water, that would be infuriating. Is that changing? Because it seems this is one of the major reasons why they are attacking people. Locals can't afford, but foreigners can. Is it safe to buy there? Are there regions where this aggression is not happening? So, stay until the end of this video, because I will tell you what happened, why this happened, and I will answer this viewer, and I have already answered in the comment. You can go check my answer in my previous video, but I will also answer, and we can discuss if this is something that may negatively affect your purchase in Spain, or your intention to move into Spain or to investing in Spain. So let's see. I am Daniela Gnecchi, and this is my channel, everything you need to know to buy a property in Spain as a foreigner. I invite you to go to my website, therealestatebee.com. You can book a call with me if you want. You can subscribe to the newsletter, download the 26-page buyer's guide with all the information, and also please subscribe to this channel, because I'm going to talk about very interesting subjects in the next videos, and I would like you to also stay in touch with me. Comment if there is anything you would like me to talk about. Put it in the comment or write to me, and I will do my best to answer every one of you. So, what happened? In August, a group of Spaniards went to spray water on some tourists who were having a coffee on a terrace in Barcelona. Now, this is the worst that happened. There is no report of any violent attack from a Spaniard to tourists anywhere. There were demonstrations, tourists go home, and I'll tell you what is the reason why this happened. But let me tell you one thing for sure: Spanish people are not violent people. On the contrary, they are extremely peaceful people. They are very laid back, very friendly, very nice. I went to demonstrations in Spain. When I moved to Barcelona, I even went to some of their demonstrations for the independence, because I wanted to understand what it was about. And I tell you, that's something that it's never going to happen. Don't worry about that. It's a minority, and it's just, they're in these demonstrations. There were people with kids, with babies, with dogs, with the tiny bandana, with the flag. They were talking to me, they were explaining me what they were doing. So it was very quiet, very peaceful. There is no violence. So this viewer who talks about attacks and a more violent situation, why? Because this is how the media portrayed what's going on. So, number one, That's my advice. Do not believe everything the media say. Always do your own research. So, why would someone wake up in the morning and decide, today I'm going to spray some tourists on the terrace? What is behind that? Spain is a country that lives off tourism. It has recently beat France as the most visited country. It beat Italy, I don't know how many years ago. It's a country that offers absolutely anything a tourist may want. Magnificent beaches, a lot of blue flag beaches, golf courses that are amongst the best in Europe or even in the world, mountains, you can go skiing, magnificent cities to visit, culture, museums, festivals, theaters. There is absolutely anything that a tourist could be interested in. So, of course, it's the most visited country. A 3-star hotel in Spain, it's the equivalent of a 4-star or 4-star superior in Italy, and much cheaper. So it's a country that has developed tourism very well and lives off tourism. So why were there these demonstrations in the main cities, in Barcelona, in Valencia, in Mallorca, in several places? Spain has one problem now, which is the lack of rental flats. Already last year or the couple of years before, what happened? That in the main cities, especially in the center, the rental prices had been going up and up because that's how it is. Rent in the center of a city is always more expensive than in the suburbs or in other areas of the city. So people started to complain because they couldn't find a rental flat where they wanted to. Now, if you cannot afford renting in the city center, you go rent somewhere else in the city, or you go around the city, or you try to work more, improve your situation until you can afford renting wherever you want. The government of Spain issued a law that we will discuss in detail in a dedicated video, a law about long-term rental, so 5-year rental. What does this law say? It says that the owner of a flat, if it's in an area that is described as tense area, tense meaning where the prices are higher, for example, the center of Barcelona or other main cities, this owner should rent out the property long term at a specific price that can be calculated based on what the government decides, and if the tenant stops paying the rent, they can keep living in the flat because they are people in need. So you cannot kick them out. So I made a calculation. Let's take a flat in the center of Barcelona, one of these beautiful flats with the vaulted ceilings, hydraulic floor, with stone walls, beautiful historical flats typical of the center of Barcelona. If this flat had a tourist license, it could be rented out to tourists in summer, especially in the peak season, for possibly 2,000 euros per week, sometimes more, sometimes a bit less, but more or less. It could be rented out medium term, meaning between 2 and 11 months, for around 2,500 euros per month. According to this index and this law, it should be rented out long term for, I did the calculation, 780 euros. If you were the owner of this flat, how would you rent it out? Would you rent it out to tourists if it had a license, or medium term and earn 2,500 euros per month? Or would it give it to someone for 780 euros, and additionally someone who can stop paying the rent and live in your flat. You cannot kick them out. You have to go through lawyers and years of fighting and cost, because they are people in need. Who are the people in need? If someone has problems because they lose their job, they get sick and they cannot pay the rent, first of all, they should try to find a solution with the landlord. And also, it should be the government that help them, because they are people in need, and we pay taxes for our governments to support the people who are really in need. How about someone who is not in need, is just dishonest, and says, okay, I can keep living here for free, why should I pay the rent? I stop paying and I stay here. It will take 2 or 3 years to the owner to kick him out, to kick me out. Was it difficult to expect the consequences of this law? What happened? It happened that most of the people who were renting out long term, either they sold the flat or they switched to medium term rental, or if they had a tourist license, or they could still get a tourist license, to tourist rental. Surprise, surprise. So the consequence was that the rental price went up over 10% in 1 year, and at least 40% of the long-term flat were converted to other type of rental. Let me tell you that the local councils own in Spain many buildings. In the Barrio Gótico in Barcelona, in the center, there are huge buildings that are completely empty, owned by the city council. So they want to help people in need, use the money of the taxpayers to refurbish these buildings, and then you use the properties for social housing. You give them to people really in need. Or they could buy repossessed properties, bank repossessed properties that are very cheap, sort out all the documents, the problems they have, and give them for social housing. But they don't do that. What does the government do? Well, they say, we have 2 options. Number 1, we do our job. We use the money of the taxpayers to help people who need help, and Spain has a socialist government, so it's even worse. We help people in need because we create flats from all these buildings that we already own and we leave empty. We issue a law that is an intelligent law, so it protects both the owner of the property, who may be in need themselves. What if some people own a small flat because it was the flat of their parents, the parents die, they inherit the flat and they rent it out because they cannot get to the end of the month, and with this rent it helps them or help their kids or any situation? No, they are not in need, the owners, it's only the tenant. So they could issue intelligent laws to help the 2 parties. They could make sure that there aren't illegal rentals, tourist rental flats, and there are many, and it's not difficult to check. They can support with our taxes the people who are really in need, and the country would work very well. Instead, what do? They say, well, if we do this, first of all, we have to spend money, and second, we have to take our responsibilities. So what do? Well, they say, okay, let's put the money of the taxpayers in our pockets or in a Swiss bank, and then let's completely deviate our responsibility on the privates. So they say, you owner of a flat, because there are people who cannot rent a flat wherever they want, now you rent it to them for a misery, and if they cannot pay, well, they stay there because they need help. And it's not me helping, it's you. And What did they say? To these people who went to spray the tourists, they said, you see, you local Spaniard who cannot find the flat you want, you see why you cannot find the flat? Because all these owners, instead of giving the flat to you for almost free, they rent to tourists. So it's because of the tourists that you cannot find a flat to rent. And these people who got this message from the media, that repeat whatever the politicians want them to say, and made it much bigger, these people so went in the street, tourists go home, because in their brainwashed brain, they think that if the tourists go home, then the owner of the tourist rental flat would rent to them for nothing. What they don't consider is that if the tourists go home, the country loses a lot of money, a lot of people who work in hospitality would lose their job, and these would be more people who cannot pay the rent, who cannot pay the mortgage, and it would be complete chaos. But you know, this concept is too advanced. They don't get it. So this is what's going on. It's exactly the same thing that happened for the golden visa. Sanchez, the Prime Minister of Spain, decided to terminate the golden visa. Why? Because he said it's because of the rich foreigners who come to Spain and buy a property to get the golden visa that the property prices are going up and you cannot buy. And all these people, the rich foreigners, it's because of them that we cannot buy a flat. And the proportion of the golden visa properties on the total number of properties sold in Spain is 0.1%. What impact has a proportion of 0.1% on anything? Zero. Nothing. So this, again, is a lie and is a way to manipulating people and deviating your responsibility to someone else. Go watch my video about the golden visa where I talk about this. So this is the reason why those people went in the street to tell foreigners, foreigners go home, tourists go home. First of all, there were no attacks. It was never a violent situation. The worst thing was some water sprayed on those poor tourists. But let me tell you, the majority of the population in Spain is against that. Everyone is against this housing law. All the experts, the banks, the majority of the population. There were huge demonstrations against Sanchez and his government. In Madrid, hundreds of thousands of people in the streets complaining about his government. Did you see this in the media? No, you didn't. Why not? Why is Sanchez there? He didn't win the elections. He didn't. He lost. He's there because to keep his position, he made a deal with the independentist party, the people who wanted Catalonia to leave Spain, which is secession, which is the highest form of treason in a country. He made a deal with them to keep his position as prime minister. Will he be there long? I don't think so. When we talk about politics, we are more or less in the same boat. I must say that despite politics, the situation in Spain is much better than in other countries. Will all these politicians have a long life in their current situation and position? I don't think so. You may say I'm a dreamer. I may also be the only one, but I think things will have to change. Anyway, going back to the situation in Spain. If you want to move to Spain, to invest in Spain, to have a second residence in Spain, what do you have to do? Do your own research. Don't believe the media, don't believe the politicians, do your own research. What does it mean, do your own research? Go read what people who moved to Spain, who bought a property in Spain, who invest in Spain say. Read what is their experience. Go to Spain, talk to the foreigners who live in Spain. Look at data. Spain is #1 country in the world for quality of life, is #1 country for expats, for a lot of reasons, not only the quality of life, the ease of settling in, the ease of work, the cost of living. Spain has one of the best healthcare systems, one of the best infrastructure systems, education, weather, food. There are many, many reasons why Spain is one of the preferred country for people to move in or to invest. The problem that there aren't enough properties. Who is responsible for that? When a developer asks for permission to the government to build more houses, what do the government says? No. So again, if there aren't enough properties, who is responsible for that? So to answer the friend who left the comment and anyone else who may wonder what's going on, this is what's going on. And believe me, it's not that foreigners can afford properties and locals can't. There are many, many locals who can afford many beautiful properties. Go to Barcelona, go to San Gervasi, go to Pedralbes, the most expensive areas, magnificent flats that cost millions. Most of them are owned by locals. So this is all manipulation. It's the system. The two parts need each other. The politicians need this group of people that they can manipulate and follow the agenda they have. And these people need these situations because it's easier than saying, okay, I can afford to rent a property, so what do I do? Maybe I look for a better job, I go back to school, I learn a language, I do some online courses or some evening courses, I improve my situation so I can afford a better rent, or maybe I can even afford to buy a property instead of going on holiday, eating always out, buying television that are as big as this room, because this is what they do. So it's always easier to push the responsibility on someone else. This is what's going on. But if you want to move to Spain or if you want to invest in Spain, always do your own research. In my next video, I will give you some data. So talking about research and data, I will give you some specific and precise data about Spain compared to other countries. For now, I hope that this video has clarified this situation. Please, if you have any question, put it in the comments. I thank you very much for watching, for spending some time with me. I invite you to subscribe to the channel and I will see you very soon. Take care.